There is a power within you that can build empires or utterly destroy them. An energy that can generate billions or drain your bank account dry. A fire that can illuminate your mind with crystal clear clarity or blind you with wild impulses. This power is not money, not knowledge, not even ambition. It is something far more primal, far more potent, and infinitely more dangerous when misunderstood. It is sexual energy, the life force that pulses at the core of your being, quietly shaping the destiny of every aspect of your life. But here is the uncomfortable truth. No one wants to face most men squander this energy unconsciously, compulsively, and self-destructively, turning what should be their greatest source of strength into their greatest weakness. They masturbate into mediocrity, ejaculating their dreams into the digital void, then wonder why their lives lack purpose, power, and magnetism. Society has taught them that this energy is something to be consumed, to be quickly satisfied, never to be understood, respected, or transmuted. Napoleon Hill, the man who decoded the secrets of history's wealthiest billionaires, dedicated an entire chapter of Think and Grow Rich to this mystery, the transmutation of sexual energy. He observed that all great leaders, inventors, artists, and moguls shared one trait. They had learned to channel this primal force toward higher ends, not through suppression, not through denial, but through a conscious alchemy that transformed the animal impulse into human genius. Imagine a blazing fire at the center of your existence. This fire can warm your home or reduce it to ashes. It can light your path or burn your eyes. The difference lies not in the intensity of the flame, but in your ability to direct it, to channel it, to convert it into useful energy. Sexual energy is that fire, and sexual transmutation is the long-lost art of shaping that wild flame into conscious illumination. Look at your own experience. How often have you felt that familiar urge, that mounting pressure demanding immediate relief? And how often after giving in, did you feel empty, drained of the spark that just moments before pulsed so intensely through your veins? That pattern is no accident. It is the result of a culture that programs men to waste their vital essence on fleeting pleasure, leaving them weak, distracted, and easily controlled. The truth the ancients knew, which the great masters guarded in esoteric teachings, and which Napoleon Hill encoded in modern language, is that this energy was never meant to be wasted. It is the fuel of creation, the source of magnetic presence, the elixir of mental clarity, and the root of every extraordinary achievement. When you learn to retain it, focus it, and transmute it, you don't just master an impulse, you awaken a power capable of reshaping your reality entirely. But to grasp this transmutation, we must first descend into the abyss of our own subconscious. We must confront the shadow modern society has cast around sexuality, turning it into a consumer product, cheap entertainment, a silent addiction, consuming millions of men without their realizing what they're losing. Think back to the times you felt most powerful, most confident, most creative. Then think of the times after you compulsively released that sexual energy. Do you sense the difference? This isn't a moral or religious observation, it's an energetic one. You literally deplete the fuel that powers your presence, your creativity, your personal magnetism, and your will. The modern man is conditioned to believe that satisfying every urge equals freedom, and that denying any desire is harmful repression. But there is a third path, neither compulsive indulgence nor neurotic suppression. It is the path of conscious transmutation, where you neither deny the impulse nor succumb to it, but elevate and redirect it to manifest genuine power in the physical world. When Napoleon Hill studied Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and other industrial titans, he discovered they all shared remarkable similarities. They each possessed magnetic energy, exceptional mental clarity, and near supernatural perseverance in the face of adversity. And when asked about their most intimate habits, they revealed a specific relationship with their sexual energy, a relationship based on deliberate mastery and creative redirection. Edison slept only 3 hours a night yet maintained extraordinary levels of energy and focus. Carnegie could work 18-hour days on complex projects without losing mental sharpness. Ford exhibited a personal magnetism that drew the finest talents and greatest opportunities into his orbit, What did these men know that most ignore? They understood that sexual energy is in essence pure life energy. It is the force that generates new life. Thus it is naturally the power that can produce new realities, new realms, new inventions. When you ejaculate this energy without conscious intent, you literally ejaculate your creative potential into the physical world. You choose brief pleasure over lasting power. But let me be clear, I'm not advocating sexual repression. Repression tries to smother the fire until it explodes destructively. Transmutation is learning to become the master of the fire, directing its intensity to forge the life you truly want. It is the difference between being a slave to your impulses and an alchemist of your own energy. Observe a man who practices sexual transmutation. His presence is different. He enters a room and people naturally turn toward him. His voice carries effortless authority. His eyes emit an intensity that intrigues and attracts. His mind operates with crystal clarity, capable of seeing solutions where others see only problems. His ideas flow like a river from an inexhaustible source. His persistence in challenges seems almost supernatural. This man is no different from you. It's a man who has learned to use the same power consciously, but whom you may not yet know how to become. When sexual energy is retained and consciously redirected, it transforms into magnetic presence, it converts into mental clarity, it alchemizes into explosive creativity, it metamorphoses into unshakable willpower, it transmutes into sharp intuition and natural charisma. But before that alchemy can occur, you must first understand the deep psychological mechanisms governing this energy. Carl Jung discovered that every sexual impulse contains not just physical desire but deep psychological needs, connection, validation, filling emotional voids, escaping existential fear. When you seek compulsive sexual release, you rarely pursue mere physical pleasure. You unconsciously attempt to heal emotional wounds, avoid responsibilities, or escape confronting your own potential. That is why compulsive masturbation becomes a vicious cycle. You not only lose physical energy, you attempt to use sexual energy to excitate emotional pain, to dodge accountability, to avoid facing your potential. And because that self-medication never solves the underlying issue, the urge returns stronger, more frequent, more compulsive. True sexual transmutation begins when you stop using this energy as an escape and start using it as fuel to address what you were fleeing from. Instead of masturbating to avoid anxiety over a big project, you channel that energy into the project. Instead of turning to pornography to escape loneliness, you harness that power to build real, meaningful relationships. Instead of ejaculating your energy to relieve stress, you transform it into productive action that eliminates the sources of stress. This process requires courage, because it means confronting your psychological shadows without the numbing balm of easy pleasure. It means facing your insecurities, limitations, and fears head-on, and using the energy you once wasted to overcome and transcend them. It is the path of a warrior, not a consumer. And here many men falter. They attempt sexual transmutation as an isolated technique without realizing it is part of a broader psychological and spiritual transformation. They try to retain their energy while clinging to the same thought patterns, limiting beliefs, and destructive habits in other areas of life. That is like building a campfire on ice. The structure cannot sustain the blaze. Real transmutation happens when you embrace a life philosophy grounded in excellence, conscious discipline, continuous growth, and service to greater causes than your immediate impulses. It occurs when you stop being a passive consumer of life and become an active creator of your reality. It happens when you replace a scarcity mindset, seeking instant gratification for fear of loss, with an abundance mindset that can tolerate delayed gratification because it knows something far greater is being built. Imagine sexual energy as water. You can let it flow down the drain, wasted and lost forever. Or you can build a dam, storing that water until it has enough pressure to drive turbines, generate electricity, and light up entire cities. The choice is yours, waste or power. instant pleasure or lasting transformation, voluntary weakness or conscious strength. But the process of building that inner dam isn't just about not masturbating or avoiding casual sex. It's about redefining your entire relationship with pleasure, power, and purpose. It's about understanding that each moment of consciously delayed gratification is a deposit into your inner power account. Each redirected impulse is available energy for creation, problem solving, and building something greater than yourself. And here we arrive at the beating heart of this journey. Sexual transmutation isn't about denying your animal nature, but integrating it into your divine nature. You don't kill the wild wolf inside you, you learn to hunt in service of conscious goals. You don't suppress the fire, you become the smith who uses that fire to forge masterpieces. The men who mastered this art discovered something extraordinary. When you stop wasting sexual energy, you not only gain more physical vitality, you develop a kind of personal magnetism that draws opportunities, influential people, brilliant ideas, and financial resources. It is as though the universe recognizes you have learned to honor your life essence and decides to reward you with access to higher levels of power and possibility. Napoleon Hill called this sex transmutation, not because sex disappears, but because the energy once wasted on unconscious impulses is now consciously directed toward realizing visions, building enterprises, developing talents, strengthening meaningful relationships, and expanding your capacity to contribute to the world. And if you've come this far in the journey of understanding, and these words resonate with truths you've felt but never voiced, I invite you now. This knowledge is not mere information, it is transformation, and transformation occurs when you not only consume content, but commit to a consistent practice of growth. If this message moves you, and you feel you've finally found someone speaking on these topics with the depth and honesty they deserve, then I invite you to click subscribe and ring the notification bell, because what you've just heard is only the beginning of a much deeper journey. In upcoming videos, we will dive into practical techniques, specific methods, and advanced strategies for transmutation that can literally reshape your reality within weeks. But this journey only matters if you are truly committed to your own transformation. Subscribing is not just a click, it is a pledge to yourself that you're ready to stop watching your life and start starring in it. But let's return to our deep dive into the mysteries of transmutation. For there is an aspect of this practice rarely discussed, but absolutely crucial for success: the spiritual dimension of sexual energy. Ancient mystics, medieval alchemists, great yogis, they all knew this energy is not merely biological, it is the creative force itself manifesting through the human body. When you ejaculate compulsively, you lose not only proteins and minerals, you waste what the Taoists called jing, your life essence. You dissipate what the Hindus called ojas, your spiritual vitality. You deplete what European alchemists named quintessence, the fifth essence that links matter and spirit. That explains why men practicing sexual transmutation experience not just more physical energy, but sharpened intuition, deeper spiritual connections, and an almost mystical ability to manifest desires in the physical realm. They don't merely conserve energy, they accumulate creative power in its purest, most concentrated form. But be warned, this power comes with responsibility. A man with transmuted sexual energy becomes a magnet for everything: temptations, trials, and situations that will test his newly discovered discipline. It's as if the universe is constantly asking, have you truly mastered this power, or is it still mastering you? And each time you consciously resist a temptation, each time you choose transmutation over gratification, you send a message to the cosmos and your own subconscious. I am master of my energy, I am director of my life. That message has profound consequences. When your subconscious recognizes you have genuine control over your most primal impulses, it begins to entrust you with more refined powers. Your intuition sharpens, your ability to read people and situations intensifies, your creative ideas flow more abundantly, your magnetic presence amplifies. It is as if new levels of consciousness become accessible only to those who have proven sufficient discipline to wield them responsibly. And here we encounter one of the most fascinating aspects of sexual transmutation. It's not just about what you don't do, not wasting energy, but about what you choose to do with the conserved energy. It's about conscious redirection. It's about having a purpose so clear, so magnetic, so inspiring, that it naturally draws and channels your life energy. Consider the great geniuses of history. Michelangelo sculpted David, Mozart composed symphonies, Nikola Tesla invented technologies that seemed magical, Einstein formulated theories that redefined our understanding of the universe. They were all men with intense passions, but they channeled those passions into immortal creations. They were not asexual, they were transmuters. They transformed the urge to create new life into the urge to create art, science, and innovation. You have the same energy they had. The same creative force pulses in your veins. The difference lies not in the amount of energy, but in the quality of your relationship with it. They learn to be alchemists of their own life essence. You can learn the same art, but to do so, you must develop what I call energetic awareness, the ability to sense in real time how various thoughts, emotions, actions, and choices affect your vital energy levels. You must learn to distinguish activities that deplete your essence from those that enhance it. You must cultivate enough sensitivity to recognize when your energy is being wasted on useless worries, toxic relationships, empty entertainment, or compulsive gratification. And here is a truth that may shock you. Compulsive masturbation is only the tip of the iceberg. Most men waste sexual energy not just through physical ejaculation, but through mental and emotional ejaculation. They fantasize compulsively, consume pornography, feed lustful thoughts, and drain their vital energy before they even touch their bodies. True sexual transmutation, therefore, begins in the mind. It starts with the discipline to focus your thoughts consciously. It begins with choosing to feed your imagination with visions of what you want to create, not with fantasies of what you want to consume. It starts with the realization that every sexual fantasy is creative energy wasted on imaginary worlds rather than invested in constructing tangible realities. Imagine if all the mental energy you devote to sexual fantasies were redirected to visualizing your professional goals. Imagine if all the emotional intensity you invest in sexual desire were channeled into passion for your creative projects. Imagine if all the determination you feel in moments of sexual arousal were transmuted into resolve to conquer real obstacles in your life. This is not suppression, this is redirection. It is conscious alchemy. It is the art of mastering your own energetic and emotional states. And when you master this art, something extraordinary happens. You stop seeking energy outside yourself, in stimuli, in others, in substances, in entertainment. You become a source of energy. You transform from consumer to generator. People feel energized just by being in your presence. Opportunities begin to gravitate toward you. Resources manifest to support your visions. This happens because you have finally aligned with your true nature. You are a creative, powerful being temporarily inhabiting a physical body, not a physical body, desperate to satisfy random impulses. When you tune your sexual energy to this higher truth, when you use this power to express your highest creative potential, you come into harmony with the fundamental laws of the universe. And the laws of the universe reward this harmony with abundance, synchronicities, opportunities, and achievements that once seemed impossible or reserved for special people. You discover there are no special people, only people who have learned to consciously wield the same forces available to everyone. But now we reach the most crucial moment of this journey, the moment of choice. Because knowledge without application is mere intellectual amusement. Understanding without practice is sterile philosophy. You can leave this experience inspired for a few hours and then revert to your old patterns, or you can make the boldest decision of your life, the decision to truly experience what it means to live with transmuted sexual energy. That decision is not easy, for it requires you to confront everything your sexual gratification once helped you avoid. It demands that you face your fears without the numbing crutch of easy pleasure. It requires that you feel your deepest emotions without the distraction of sexual stimulation. It calls you to connect with your true power without the crutches of compulsive indulgences. But it is precisely that confrontation that liberates you. It is through the discomfort of conscious restraint that you discover inner reserves of power you never knew you possessed. It is by resisting smaller impulses that you develop the capacity to realize greater ones. It is by mastering the most primitive force within you that you gain access to the most refined powers. The man who emerges from this transmutation process is not the same man who entered it. He possesses a magnetic presence that attracts success. He exhibits a mental clarity that cuts through confusion and complexity. He manifests a creative energy that produces innovative solutions and unexpected opportunities. He exudes a calm confidence that inspires respect and admiration. He has developed a personal magnetism that naturally draws resources, relationships, and achievements. This man has not repressed his sexuality, he has elevated it. He has not denied his animal nature, he has integrated it into his divine nature. He has not become less of a man, he has become more of a human being. He discovered that true masculine power does not lie in the capacity to satisfy impulses, but in the ability to transmute them into enduring creations that benefit not only himself but all life around him. This is the journey of the sexual alchemist. This is the initiation that turns lead into gold, impulse into purpose, compulsion into creation. This is the lost art Napoleon Hill coded, that the great masters preserved, and that is now available to you if you have the courage to embrace it fully. The fire burns within you at this very moment. The power pulses through your veins as you read these words. The energy that can transform your entire life waits only for your conscious decision to direct it toward goals worthy of your inherent greatness. You can let this fire burn out in fleeting pleasures, or you can use it to forge an extraordinary life. The choice is, as always, yours. But know that this choice does more than determine your next days or weeks. It shapes the quality and impact of your entire existence. For ultimately, life is not measured by the pleasures you consumed, but by the power you cultivated. Not by the gratifications you experienced, but by the creations you manifested. Not by the energy you wasted, but by the strength you harnessed and directed to transform the world around you. The inner warrior awakens when you stop being a slave to your impulses and become master of your energy. The inner light ignites when you stop scattering your life essence and begin focusing it on radiant purposes. The inner power emerges when you realize you have always been the alchemist of your own experience. You have only forgotten how to consciously wield the tools of transmutation. Now you remember. Now you know. Now you can choose.